Okay, so let's get ready real quick. As you can see, this is usually what I wake up like. I rarely take my makeup off, which is really bad, but it's really good that we have these amazing shine cloths that I use because it helps keep my face nice and fresh. So let's just take this off real quick and then I'll get started and do my makeup for the day. I have several videos I have to do today, like training. I have to do a new mascara tutorial for some new makeup lesson groups that we're doing today. And then of course it's tax season and I need to work on some tax stuff, so I have lots to do today. And it's spring break and I have all my kids and they have friends and they're all at my house. So I'll just apologize in advance if, you know, you hear like kids running in the house and screaming or doors slamming, you know, that kind of stuff. So anyway, okay. Now see, lickety split. My face is all fresh and clean and great. Look at all that. Ew. These things are amazing, really. They are. Okay, so gotta have my rose water. Such great toner. And then also a setting spray at the end. Maybe I'll do my liner like that today so I can show you. I've talked about it, but I've never showed you. Okay, so for the last couple days, I've been doing concealer and primer because I did it at first just to show everybody that, hey, we can use this option, you know, in place of our foundation until your shade's back in. But I'm actually kind of quite obsessed with it because the coverage that I get is better than just the foundation on my face. I really like it. Okay, so I'm going to start out by putting some primer in my hand. Not that much, not too much, that's probably too much. And then adding some concealer to it. And that's probably too much too, but can you see? Yeah. And that's probably way too much for my face because the last couple of days that I've done it, I've ended up wiping a lot of it off because it was just too much. And then I just rub it together in my hand. My hands are clean. I always wash before I start because I don't want to put, you know, dirty hands all over my face. See, that's way too much. So, just starting to apply it. And already you can see the great coverage that's going to be. Now since I'm using primer and concealer mixed together, there was no need for me to prime my face beforehand, because it's mixed in with my concealer, so it's on my face. And it's a really smooth, creamy texture. Now the only difference with this, besides our liquid foundation, is that this is not going to dry to a matte powder like our liquid foundation. Sorry, someone was trying to call me. Okay, so anyways, the only difference with this is it's not going to dry to a matte powder, so I'm going to want to set it with a powder. So next I have my Touch in Taffeta, which is my color, and I used my color in concealer, which thank God all of our new bronzers are on their way, and so thank goodness that they're all on their way because I'm like really white right now. So I need to get some color, especially before we go to the Virgin Islands in April. I always dab around my eyes because I don't want to move my makeup anywhere. I want my coverage right there, you know, because I have such dark circles. But everywhere else, you know, I can kind of rub it on because it's no big deal if it moves. Okie dokie. Yay. The icky's gone for the day. Okay. Next will come my bronzer. And yeah, I use bronzer for my blush. I have ordered my blush for demo purposes because I did want to, you know, demo it and show you guys. But I typically always just wear bronzer. Contour my face just a tad. My nose is wanting to be sniffly this morning. Contour my nose a little bit. There we go. Okay. Brows, brows, brows. Prim liner, Irresistible Pigment. It's always my go-to brow. I have to move my mirror closer so y'all can see. Okay. Just kind of outline. And really light strokes. Just for a really quick brow, that, in case I've not shown it before, your brow starts right here. Go through the center of your pupil, that's where your arch goes. And then go to the edge of your eye, your waterline right there, and that is where your brow should stop. So see, mine don't go down that far. That's why I come down farther with my liner. And that will give you a perfect shaped brow for your face. Every time. Perfect outline. Now, doing them, you know, as thick as you want, that's up to you. But that is a good guideline for getting the right shape for your face. I turn mine to the side too. I don't ever just point blanket on. I turn it to the side. These kids are being awful quiet. I wonder what they've gotten into outside. Now also on my brows, since I do use a liner like that, I do go a little bit higher with my pigment than what I did with my liner, because that kind of softens it up. It's not a harsh line. One brow always takes longer and more work than the other. For me though, it's because of my scar. That's why it always takes longer. Okay. I'm using my liner shader brush because it's the easiest brush to use for your brow. It works great. Just be sure to tap off any excess when you pick up the pigment in your lid. Tap it off. That way you don't have a lot of fallout on your face. Okie dokie. Then I will take, well, I would typically take my lash comb, but it looks like my daughter has conveniently borrowed it. Oh, that girl. She had like 3 of her friends over last night and they were all playing in my stuff. Okay, so I typically would have taken my brow comb and just kind of brushed through them real quick, just to blend everything together and soften it up if any of it needed to be softened, and then go back with my concealer brush and just wipe up the line underneath. I don't do it on the top because I want the top to stay soft looking. Okay. Next comes eyes. I'm gonna use primer today because, well, let's just be real. You need a prime. You need a prime before you do anything. You need to prime your face, you need to prime your eyes. Makes everything go on brighter and more vivid, and you don't have to use as much product. Like when you do your pigments, if you really want them to be bright and bold and you don't use primer, then it's kind of like you got to use a couple coats of it. You got to build it up and layer it. If you would just stick a coat of primer on real quick, you wouldn't have to. And then give it just a second to sit. Today I'm going to use cream shadows. I've been doing a lot of loose pigment tutorials. I really miss my cream shadow. So I'm going to use Defiant because it is my favorite go-to. Pretty gold. I almost think it's like a rose gold copper color. And then I'm going to use Provoked because I haven't used this in forever. And it's such a gorgeous, it's a matte. Almost kind of like Defiant, but just a tad darker. And then if I need some in the crease, then I'm going to go back with either Infatuated or Irresistible to give a little definition. Okay, so cream shadow brush. A little bit goes a long way. You can always add more if you need to, but you can't take it away. So always start with a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and pull my lid out because it's just easier to get it on this way. I'm going to get it where I want it, and then I'm going to pat it on the rest of the way. But I do need to get it in place. So it does take a little bit of rubbing, but not a lot. Add just a little bit more to this one. So you can always add more if you need to. Less is more when we're working with eye makeup. It's way hard to take off. You'd have to start all over. Okay. This is such a gorgeous color. I really, really love it. Okay, I'm going to take one of my fluffy brushes because it's just really loose and fluffy and I really like to, and then I'm just going to pick up some pigment, but then I'm going to totally tap it off. Like for real tap it off, because it's Provoked is a very vivid color. It's a matte, so it goes on heavy. You gotta be careful. Okay. And then I'm just going to brush it on. It is like the perfect complement to Defiant. Perfect complement to that. Okay, now comes the blending. This is where the fun stuff comes in. And actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and add a defining color in between those two. I'm going to take my crease brush and I'm going to go ahead and take Irresistible, same thing that I used on my brows. And same thing, I'm going to roll it on in there, but then I'm going to tap it off. And I'm just going to hit this part right here, where my cream shadow and my loose pigment come together. Provoked is so close to Defiant that I felt like I needed another color in between. And you might not be able to tell it on camera, but well, yeah, you probably can. Okay. Okay. Now comes the fun. With just a clean deluxe brush, there's no pigment on it. I've already wiped it all off. I will start blending, and this is where you want to just use like little circular motions around your outside edge, because you don't want to blend that color up too high onto your light part that you don't have anything on, if that makes sense. And you can either use little small circular motions or just a real light flick of a blending motion. Whichever you see starts to work best for you. And just blend that all the way around. Now if I needed to, I could come back into here and start to blend right here, but I really don't need that with this color. They just complemented each other so well that they just kind of blended right on into each other. Some colors are so different. Like if I would have used Infatuated on top of it, it would have been a dark brown as opposed to the copper, and that would have needed more blending. But this just really doesn't. I like those colors together. Okay, because I did blend up pretty high, I'm going to use just a small amount of cream, of BB cream in the color cream with my concealer brush, and just a very light little bit to go under and highlight right under my brow. And then I'll just go back and blend with my finger. And then go blend back over it once more. There we go. Now I will give myself a bit of liner with my Infatuated pigment. Oh, I told you I was going to use the rose water. Okay, so normally I just do liner with just a loose pigment, but you can do like one teeny tiny little spritz in the cap and use your liner shader brush and rub that around and get it wet and use it as a wet liner. You just have to be careful because you gotta know where it's going, because once it's there, it's there. And where when I use it as a loose pigment, it will, I mean, it'll stay there, but it's gonna look loose. And it's gonna look soft and blended. Let me add a little bit more. But using it wet, it's gonna make it bolder, and it's gonna be there all day. It's gonna not have that soft look to it so much, just more of a bold look. And then go up here just a little bit. Not much though, because I'm going to do a mascara tutorial and it's harder to see with liner. Okay. Okay, so there's my look of the day. And if you want to catch my mascara tutorial, you're gonna have to catch it on later and ask me for it, because I'm doing it for all my new makeup lessons that are starting today. So fresh mascara tutorial for today. So there it is, look of the day. I hope it's great. Hope you love it. Bye.